We're
finishing that.
let's not do that. I think it would be a good way to start and get everybody a little bit cracked up at least. Isaiah 58, 5-8.
Okay. Yeah. Let me switch.
There might-
I'm still on 55.
Might be some context we're missing. We'll go back to 55.
Make up your mind.
We'll go back afterwards.
Oh.
Okay, so
Wait, we're gonna go back
Isaiah
afterwards?
58,
See, words are hard.
5 through.
Patience, grasshopper.
Okay,
Isaiah 58, 5.
Herman,
Uh,
your tablet off. Your uploads and stuff.
Oh, my uploads.
Just a
Hey,
heads up.
now I just want to clarify. Are we in Isaiah 55 or 58?
58.
Fifty-eight.
He
Just to
said
clarify.
58, and I said I'm in 55. We can go back to 55.
yeah,
We will
Yeah,
go back
yeah.
Yeah.
eventually.
that is precisely
Okay.
what took place.
Yeah.
Despacito.
What?
Yeah, it's all off.
Okay.
Okay, back to Isaiah 55 or 50. Which one was
We're
it?
on 58 now.
58.
That's enough of that.
Bunch of Mexicans.
I'm telling you. So, but basically, it starts. It talks about why the Israelites haven't seen no. I can hear you breathing. This is why it's good to have headphones.
Ooh.
Oh,
My partner over here. Yeah, just like that. Why the Israelites have been fasting and they can't find an answer. This is a real serious Bible study, isn't it?
this is. It's been so long.
But in verse 5, we covered some of this yesterday in a training we did. It says, "Is it a fast like this that I choose?" This is no American Standard. Well, it's in the Passion as well. Let's start in the Passion. 5. Do you think I'm impressed with that kind of fast? Which, well, maybe we should a little bit further than. Well, we'll start with 1. Shout it loud and clear. Don't hold back. Let your voice be like a trumpet blast. Declare to my people their rebellion, and to Jacob's tribe their sin. Yes, daily they seem to seek me, pretending that they delight to know my ways, as though they were a nation that does what is right and had not rejected the law of their God. They ask me to show them the right way, acting as though they are eager to be close to me. They say, why is it that when we fasted, you did not see it? We starved ourselves, and you did not seem to notice. Because on the day you fast, you were seeking only your own desires, and you continued to exploit your workers. During your fasts, you quarrel and fight with others and strike them with an angry fist. When you fast like that, your voice will not be heard on high. Do you think that I'm impressed with this kind of fast? Is it just a day to starve your bodies, make others think you're humble, and lie down in sackcloth and ashes? Do you call that a fast? Do you think I, Yahweh, will be pleased with that? This is the kind of fast that I desire. Remove the heavy chains of oppression. Stop exploiting your workers. Set free the crushed and mistreated. Break off every yoke of bondage. Share your food with the hungry. Provide for the homeless and bring them into your home. Clothe the naked. Don't turn your back on your own flesh and blood. Then my favor will bathe you in sunlight until you are like the dawn bursting through a dark night. And then suddenly your healing will manifest. You will see your righteousness march out before you, and the glory of Yahweh will protect you from from all harm.
You might as well read the next verse. It's
Yeah.
tied directly into it. Yeah, go through 9 yet too.
9. Then Yahweh will answer you when you pray. When you cry out for help, he will say, I am here. If you banish every form of oppression, the scornful accusations and vicious slander, and if you offer yourselves in compassion for the hungry and relieve those in misery, then your dawning light will rise in the darkness, and your gloom will turn into noonday splendor. I found it interesting because this, in a lot of ways, contradicts what we usually do in fasting. And not just that. When I read this for the first time, I think Well, I believe that we can live a life of daily fasting if this is what the fasting the Lord is looking for,
Mm-hmm.
right?
Yeah. How would you separate though this from what we consider fasting? So the Bible talks about fasting the way we consider fasting too.
Right.
So New Testament, there's a difference. So this kind of sounds like
But most of the fasting details we have are Old Testament.
are they really?
I think
I've
so.
never really given it that much thought.
Me either, but from the verses that, like, I don't have them either, but in front of me. But the server manual has, and I don't know, has anybody got a server manual with it? It's in there.
I don't have it with me.
But I think
I had one. My old phone still had
Aaron's
one.
going to look it
PDF,
up
but-
and he's going to tell us. But I think most of them are, because it's David, it's a prophetess. But most of it's Old Testament.
Yeah. A lot is in the Old Testament, and if you're looking in the New, the biggest one is, of course, Christ. And then I believe 2 of the disciples, and that's about it.
Well, John's disciples talk about fasting.
Google knows everything, right?
What were you looking for on the menu?
In the server's manual, what does it talk about fasting? Find the section about fasting.
So it says here, the first one that comes up is in Matthew 16, 18. Jesus talks about giving, praying, and fasting in chapter 6.
Matthew what?
16 through 18. Let's look that up.
I read it in NASB. Now, whenever you fast, do not make a gloomy face as the hypocrites do, for they distort their faces so that they will be noticed by people when they are fasting. Truly, I say to you, they have their reward in full. But as for you, when you fast, anoint your head and wash your face, so that your fasting will not be noticed by people, but by your Father who is in secret, and your Father who sees what is done in secret will reward you.
See that
That's
fast?
one of the ones I remember from the server manual was that.
It's that's probably one of. I didn't know, but I don't know if there's much more. There probably is, but most of the one we went over were Old Testament, I think. But that fasting goes well. It really ties into this really, because it says that they made a big deal out of fasting, and that they were still beating each other or just being mean to each other, I suppose.
I put it in our group.
Yeah, he's got them all there. 2 Samuel 12:16. And then Psalms 109:24.
Yeah, Luke. There's one in Luke.
It's still a majority
Yeah.
new. You got Daniel, Esther, Nehemiah, Psalm, and 2 Samuel. You got Matthew, Luke, Acts.
Second one in Acts.
Yeah.
and then
but
Matthew and Luke.
It's all Matthew, Luke, and Acts. Yeah.
Yeah. So I guess it's both. It looks like it's
Fairly
fairly,
even.
evenly spread, actually.
Yeah.
Which I hadn't really.
I'd never really thought about it much. I remember studying New Testament. The times I fasted was using New Testament scripture, but I've never really looked that deep into it either.
Me either. I've gone through this before. I haven't highlighted NASB. The NASB to me is a little bit easier to read, but
I like the NASB. I think it's more accurate in a lot of the things as far as interpretation. But then you go to interpretation, you spin that off any which way you want to play it too.
that's true. I mean, a lot of just wow, which we could really go into here in a little bit is what's asking. Like when it says when the Bible says you have not because you ask not. Me and Marcy covered some of that. I don't know if I think me and you talked about that.
Yeah, we did a little bit. But I like that. Like I wish we'd pick that topic instead.
Well,
like
why don't we move to that? I don't have much more on this.
I don't either. I was kind of with this because that's what you picked. But I like the you ask not because you have not. The Steve Harvey thing.
Yes.
I like that. I mean, it's true.
What's it look like though? Like it was what we were talking about. Like the shop that we got, I didn't really ask. Like, Pop, can I have a shop? I didn't ask for it. I didn't pray for it. I thought it was.
Well, I think there's a difference. I think some things, as much as I say they fall in your lap, sometimes it happens.
Well,
Unaccounted for blessings. Things happen.
There was some hardship there. There's things that had to be done. I didn't just fall in my lap, but in the process, there was things that fell into place
Yeah.
that seemed supernatural. But it was just the shop. I had seen the sign there forever, just never really paid attention to it. When I'm like, you know what, we should buy the shop. I need an office for DS Performance. And then we ended up. That was my excuse.
Mm-hmm.
And then we ended up starting a business in there. But then it came out fine. But with the finance, the way they have been, I didn't think we were going to get it. Not just that, we got it at an absolute extraordinary low interest rate. And I was talking to Philip today, and he was saying like he knows of some friends, farmers, they're having a hard time getting loans for equipment.
Yeah.
The banks don't want to loan any money, and I think it's because of the inflation that's coming. They don't want to get stuck in a low interest rate. Having money out in a low interest rate when it's going to go up.
Makes sense.
So, and we got half the loan is at 2.3, 2.4, something like that.
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's really good.
Yeah.
But even still, like back on that topic, how many people really try to even play that? Like, I've heard it in the ways where you pray for a Corvette, you'll get a Corvette. I think that's kind of, I'm not going to say you can't do it because, I mean, it doesn't specify, but I know there's verses that say, you know, then what you ask for will be in accordance to God's will. So if you're greedily asking for something, you know, just out of your own self, I think there's a limit there.
I think there's a maturity level because, I mean, I think about, like, there's things that we got when I didn't even know this existed. Like, I knew nothing about it. I didn't know it was even written in the Bible. If I did, it was taught in a way where I didn't believe in it.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptor, my house. The house is a similar idea. We'd been looking for a house when I was still at the ND pipeline. We've been looking for a house, and few times we went shopping for double wide trailers, and the used ones they were too pricey, and then we looked for new ones, and they were just too cheap for what we were paying, because for the same money we could build a house, a nice little house, not a real big one, but a nice little house, and then we'd have a house instead of a trailer, and we couldn't. It wasn't just me. I was kind of quiet. Like, I'll let Marcy. She needed a bit. She didn't specifically want a bigger house. That's something I got to admire about that woman. I don't know how she did it. We lived in a 780 square foot home with 4 kids, and never complained about it. Not just that. When we looked for a house, she wasn't pushy. I kind of let her, like, if you want one, buy it. That was a deal, and neither one of us found anything we were happy with. And then we looked at Abe's place one day, the one we have now, and we weren't quite happy with that either. And one day Abe comes in here and said, "Do you want it? I'll give it to you at cost." How much is that? $285. Shoot. Yeah. Thinking we'll live there for a little bit and we'll buy something else. And the character of Abe really came through there. He had a chance to sell it more than once at a higher price than he offered me for in cash. And one day he called me because it drug him for 6 months and couldn't get the damn mortgage going. And one day he asked me, and he called me and said, "Are you still buying the house?" I said, "Yeah." We had talked about it. I said yes. No contract, no handshake, nothing. And I found out after the deal was done that he had several offers where a guy offered him quite a bit more. He said, "I'll pay you in cash." And he said, "No, I already have somebody."
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
They don't see that much anymore.
No, but there's people like that out there.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
This is the way he does business. It's inspired me. But that house was the same thing. Like, we didn't ask for it. That one kind of fell into our lap. But then there was some hardship trying to get it. We couldn't. We went through Quicken Loans, and they ran Marcy's credit 2 or 3 times, and just every time they run it, it goes down. And finally, I told Abe, "We're having trouble." And he said, "Well, he had somebody from New York." This was a Russian woman. And she was like a pit bull with a bone. That lady got some shit done. And then the underwriters, it was done. Because we had 28% down. And the house was so cheap, it didn't make sense not to, because it was so far under market value. Plus, we had 20% down. If I never made a payment on it, they could turn around and foreclose on it and sell it for more than what I paid for it, plus the down payment. So it was a no-brainer, but we had trouble. And that lady, and then we had everything done. We were supposed to sign paperwork, and she called Marcy one day, and Marcy came home. Marcy said, "I've never heard a woman cuss that much." She was mad. The underwriters backed out last minute. It just was one thing after another. But we did get it, obviously. We have it. But that was also one of those, I didn't even know that you could ask. I didn't even know such thing existed. The Raptor, same thing. Kind of followed what I wanted instead of buying what I needed. What I needed was...
But that goes, I mean, I might be wrong, but he knows the desires of your heart. So,
Right.
you know, for his children, is that not kind of the same thing? You know what your kids want.
Oh yeah.
They don't have to tell you.
Me and Mike were talking about that the other day. That I think it was me and Mike. Somebody. It's fun to when you know your kids want it, and they think they might not get it, and then you get them as a surprise. It's fun to see their look on their face. But there's also, you might talk about it like why do we have to ask? And as a parent, you want to. It's nice to be asked.
It is.
It's like
Not always, but
yeah. But then I was always saying like the miracles that God gives to you. Like strive to look for that, like something that you didn't ask for and then you do receive. Like that's something real special to me.
why your cab over, which now your company owns, but
Yeah.
your cab over.
Yeah, that was kind of one of those.
Yeah, I mean, it required a sacrifice on your part because you gave up a really nice truck, but you got a good deal.
Yep.
Your black truck. Who would have thought that a Freightliner could ever look that good?
Oh yeah.
This is not dogging on you,
How many
Mike.
people have
I'm
wanted it
serious.
recently? 2.
What's that?
There's like 2 guys have asked about it recently.
Yeah, that's right. Yep.
Yeah, and
And
then
one today.
and then we had a Columbia.
Yeah. That's a good looking little Columbia.
It is a really nice looking Columbia, and
Has
it
a little
works
chrome
good.
stack on it now.
Did you put one on?
We were playing with it earlier, me, Mikey, and Nolan.
I like it. But it's which the question was, which now we've kind of, I guess, set the groundwork of how many times we didn't ask, we still got it. Like, so,
How much more would it be if you asked?
well, we've tried to a point, but I feel like the example I have of, we had 4 or 5 things on a board. We put those on a year and a half ago, something like that. Me and Marcy. It was last year's goal for the company. We wanted a new car. We wanted a place for women. We have that. The Hope Center. I didn't know that I was going to be part of it, but here we are. And we wanted, I think there might have been an office under, I don't remember. I think an office for DS Performance, something like that. And then we wanted to be debt free, which was more Marcy's thing, debt free. I kind of like working with debt personally, but the debt free and the car didn't happen. But the rest of them, like we went over that the other day and we erased it. We're going to start over.
Mm-hmm.
Everything else on there happened, and it wasn't really something. That's something we asked for, we prayed for. They did happen, not in a week, month, or whatever, but overall they happened. The new office, which happened this year, not last year, but it did happen. The car hasn't, and I think there's a reason why. There's this idea. I don't need a miracle to buy a car. I can go buy one.
Use Frib's thing earlier. Wagoneers are having problems. You haven't got one because you're stuck on a Wagoneer, and he's waiting for the bugs to be worked out.
It's been on my mind.
Really?
It's been on my
That
mind.
makes
yes.
sense.
But I also think like a Wagoneer, I could go buy one. You know what I'm saying? Like, I could. Even if I felt I shouldn't, you could still go buy one. Like defy orders, like you do with your dad sometimes when you're young, because
Rebel a
God is a
little bit.
father, right? So, which I haven't felt that, but I think the reason why that hasn't happened, or which the car we had was an Aviator. That's the one we wrote on there. But
Maybe I haven't got it because you changed your mind.
that and the Aviator was a little bit too small. But it is something I could go buy. I just don't think it's smart right now.
So I'm just a little curious. Have you gotten an answer on how to ask, or I know we talked about it for the last couple of days, but still.
Yeah, that was our that was our conversation. Yeah, what does it mean? Ask.
Yeah.
I don't think that how you ask is the important thing. I think where your heart is at, that's what matters.
I agree.
I think you got a very good point.
I think if your heart is not right, you can ask as much as you want, any way you want. It's probably not going to happen.
I see what you're saying, but then why doesn't it say that?
Actually,
He does say that
yeah.
he doesn't look on the outside.
That
He
is
looks
true,
at
it
our
does say
heart.
that at a different
Yeah.
spot. You're right about
and
Okay.
It doesn't say it in
sell
the
the
same verse, though. It
time.
talks about giving, like
One for
asking,
Isaac.
you shall receive thing. That's in a different spot though.
But
If
it's
you
still in the
read-
Bible.
that.
I won't argue with you there. I could, but I won't.
Except for Rudy's Bible, it changes all the
It
time.
does.
Is that true?
It's the living word. But Have you gone to like Matthew 7? That's where the asking you shall receive. Matthew 7:7. I'd look it up.
So the asking that we were talking about, Isaac, was the idea. Like, I believe that the word "ask" might have been lost in translation, because there's things I never asked for specifically, like the shop, like my Raptor, like the house, but it's something I desired. And I think a desire, a true desire, can be an ask, if that makes sense. No? Yeah? Maybe?
I agree.
Because it does not say that you have to verbally ask.
That's what I always got out of it, because it says ask, but I think that might have been lost in translation, possibly. We don't know what the original root word said. You know what I mean?
Yeah, because he doesn't look at your lips, what they're saying. He looks at your heart.
Shit. You gotta
And if your heart is, if the desire is in your heart, this is what you really want.
Where have you been at all these studies?
Isn't that asking?
I believe it is, but now it just.
I'm not saying it is.
I think it is. I just never thought about it. What would you say, Mike? Me and you were the ones talking about it. You agree?
I could see that. Yeah, what's in your heart, like God sees it, and that kind of explains mine. Like when it's unexpected, sometimes like you might not specifically ask.
You might
for it,
have
but
not
it's in your
asked
heart.
for it, but in your heart,
There's a
you
desire
had a
for it.
desire for that.
Yeah, that's true. Good one, Isaac.
I do know the story of King David when he committed adultery and had his friend killed. He was just praying, and God said, "If you would have asked me, I would have given it to you."
See, play that out. Like, she's a married woman. What would that look like?
Oh no, I don't think it was that. I think it was.
His desires? Sexual desires, maybe?
I think that it was listen, because he desired companionship, but he did not seek it from God.
I don't,
And
I
then
don't think I would use the word that it was companionship he
got-
was looking for, because he had how many wives?
Right.
I mean, this is in the time of like harems and stuff.
That's why I'm thinking, like, if you play that out, if he had
Yeah.
more, do we have proof
I
they had
think
more
there
wives
is-
at the time?
I think there's an underlying meaning
Well, he definitely
there,
had one.
but I don't know what it would be, because the way that's worded, that basically comes out to is
Well, why don't we read it?
you
Where
want
is
her,
it?
I'll give her to you, but I don't think that's what it would be.
Well, where is it? Let's
I
read
don't
it.
know.
it's in Kings. I'm not exactly sure well,
On what?
but I
You want to
We'll
find,
find
it?
it.
We'll. Well, but even if you look at here, there is a little note here with the ask. This one says, "or keep asking," like the root word came from "keep asking," and it will be given to you. Seek. There's another little note. Keep seeking, and you will find that. Knock, or keep knocking, and it will be open to you. For everyone who asks receives, and the one who seeks finds, and the one that knocks, it will be open. And to the one who knocks will be open. Or
2 Samuel 12:8. Does that sound right?
and that's exactly actually Matthew 7:9 is where Jesus talks about the evil, or what a person is there among you who, there's a little note there, see what it says. Whom his son, when his son asks for a loaf of bread, will give him a stone, or if he asks for a fish, will give him a snake. Will he? So if you, despite being evil, know how to give good gifts to your children, how much more will your Father who is in heaven give you good things to those who ask? So, but this is often perceived and talked about in a way that this only applies to spiritual things.
I don't think so. I think it applies to physical and spiritual. It applies to things here on earth the same way. But I think if you're asking for things simply because you want things,
Well,
there's a heart set there that has to be right.
Right, which would, like keep up with the Joneses. I need one so
Yeah,
I can have nice
exactly.
trucks like he does, or
Yep.
something like that. I could
if
see
that's
that
the case, I don't think that applies to that.
because
But if you're living for God and you're living in God's word as He's asked you to do, or following the command He's got, or following the calling He has for you, whatever you ask, your heart's desire will align with His desire for you.
I think so.
And when that aligns,
Oh, yeah.
aligns, I think that's a guarantee.
I think that's correct because if I think about like there was a time where everybody drove Power Strokes and I wanted one so bad.
Yeah.
I couldn't afford it, so I never bought one. When I bought the Raptor, it was because I wanted one. Nobody else had one. I
You ever
was,
think about that? You weren't keeping up with Jones. After that, they wanted to keep up with you. Herman was a Joneses.
I don't think so. I think Herman's too unhinged to be looked up as somebody keeping up with the Joneses. That might be my own perception.
Yeah.
That's why they can't keep up with you.
It's the unhingedness.
Did you find it, Nolan? 2 Samuel 12:8.
Yeah.
That's got to be
So-
the verse you're talking about.
So, at the just point I remember now, it's that he went off the path that God had chose for him, within he did those things, and then God returns to him in that saying that if you thought the things that I have, how much more you would have gotten. No. So it's like,
Where'd you say it was?
Right here. You asked if we knew they had more wives
Uh-huh.
in those days. Verse 11. This is what the Lord
Which
says, 2 Samuel 12.
12.
This is what the Lord says. Behold, I am going to raise up evil against you from your own household. I will even take your wives before your eyes and give them to your companion, and he will sleep with your wives in broad daylight. So he had multiple wives.
Okay, but
Yeah.
see, God says that He would give His wives over to His companion.
Yep.
So then there is reason to say that God would have also taken one of His mighty men's wives.
I think the way Nolan corrected himself already, that there was a difference. It wasn't
Where
that
was
he
it?
would give it to him. It's verse 8. It says, I also gave you your master's house and put your master's wives into your care. And I gave you the house of Israel and Judah. And if that had been too little, I would have added to you many more things like these.
mhm.
So it never says that. the
Never
wife
says I would give you
specifically.
his wife.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah, yep,
Yeah.
yep,
I'm glad we clarified that.
yeah.
Could have taken a rabbit trail there. That was
I could have been
Kinda
leaving some
crooked.
crazy context.
Yeah. So I know what then you tell your whole story about your whole life and how like you went through that silly tough time financially, and then it's like you just fully gave up, and then it's like, oh, I got more soul than I ever thought. No.
But the tough finance have happened after that too. So
Yeah.
it's- I don't know.
I don't think the struggle ever stops. If it does, we'd be in
No.
trouble.
Which is to a point true.
Not really. It doesn't ever say the persecution will end. So
No, true. I mean, I'm just saying that these solutions had some trouble, but since Isaac's been a salesman, that's just been giving. Went and almost doubled the invoice that we expected in Corpus.
I was just doing my job.
Why don't you try to be real
Oh,
humble
that
about
was that was something I didn't even expect. Literally, it was just
it? I think it shows your talent.
you're trying to tell me that I'm getting a raise because I sell so good.
Well, the more you
Just
sell,
just asking for a friend.
the more you sell, the more your raise gets higher. You make your own paycheck.
No, that's supposed to come from the boss. Has nothing to do with me.
It does. Every week.
I'm just fooling about it. Oh, that was a good trip.
That was a good trip. It was amazing. You and Mike
Yeah.
tearing up the town. I mean, taking
Riding
it easy in the town.
Riding scooters downtown Corpus at 2 a.m, maybe. With Abe.
And yeah, Abe made it down there.
Yeah.
It was good times. Well, it looked like good times anyway. So, yeah, just if I look at my own personal life, I think the exactly what you said, Isaac. I think the heart position is the deciding factor, because thinking there was time when I wanted a Power Stroke because everybody else had one, and then when I bought the Raptor and I wrapped it with the DS Performance Diesel Solutions logos, I got some shit for, was that a diesel in that truck? Well, no, it's not. Well, you own a diesel drop and you don't own a diesel, so I don't need one.
If you look at that, you wanted a Power Stroke so bad. Why did you want it?
Because everybody else had one. The Joneses boys had some.
Exactly.
No, it's true.
So what
It's
was
true.
your heart right?
No, it wasn't. That's what I'm saying. Like, looking back, I can see that now. But it didn't. Like, here's the thing: the law still applies even if you don't know. So it's also true. Because I didn't know that you could ask and receive.
That's the thing, you know. You don't have to know in order to get the benefits. For example, there's companies that don't know about tithing, but they give a lot of money,
Right. You had a
and
goodness
they're
of their
just
heart.
extremely prosperous.
Yeah.
Why?
They're sowing
Because
seeds.
because they give, even though they don't know,
Yeah.
they still get the benefit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? You're just sitting there and
I'm just agreeing.
If you really want to make political, you know that is over 90% is Republican conservative.
Why do you want to make it political? It's just truth.
The spread between liberal and conservative, maybe not even so much party line, but liberal and conservative, is massive on how much people give, or versus what they do, the ones that don't.
Are you sure? Have you seen their tax return?
Except for philanthropy, there's some liberals that are great philanthropists.
Yeah. The thing is, you know what? Like, it's very easy to point to the sides like that, but there's a lot of good liberals out there that give too. And things. We as conservatives don't ever really look at that.
I know.
We tend to stick to our sides and say, "Screw you guys." But
Yeah, we're better.
what would you want to do on the other side anyway?
you still wanna help. Hey, in all reality, it's
Just
like
asking for a friend.
maybe help them a little bit.
Good point.
What some people say? God helps those that help themselves.
I can't say none. I used to say that.
So
We've all made mistakes. Words are hard.
One or two.
a very interesting thing. I was talking to a guy at a retreat that I went to recently, because he has a little bit more bent to the left than the red side, and he thinks that I'm a staunch conservative, you know. And I'm like, well, but if you actually go by what the core tenets that I believe, if you actually look up the definition of liberal, I would lean more towards that than to the conservative side.
I wouldn't.
How do you figure?
Yeah.
And
If you go back to the basis of the original parties,
Yeah,
I would agree. But the minute you throw the word liberal in
not
there,
really.
well, yeah, Democrats. Where do you think this country was founded on?
Right.
Yeah.
Who freed the
Yeah.
slaves?
Republicans.
Exactly.
But who founded this country? We base everything off of the Democratic Party's original beliefs that were very good and true.
they were that I agree with.
So
There was-
I think if we go back to the basis belief of the two, I would say that the Democratic Party originally was right.
not right.
okay,
There was
so this is the definition.
Whose definition are you using?
Google's.
Yeah.
So
The-
figure
the-
that off
the-
of Webster's.
the
You know, there's
I don't know.
there's a
dictionary.
million different ones. Like I've learned, you can Google anything you want, and it doesn't necessarily mean it's going to be right.
Because
It's like a
Well,
statistic.
but
If you look at, let's say you look at statistics in America right now, if each one of us here goes online and goes to what is the number one rated pickup in America in 2020 or 2021 or 2022, any of the last couple of years, and you look at it, you know, each one of us can find the statistics that's gonna say,
you know why? Because there's people like Power Magazine or whatever, or these,
they all have their own form of
and
statistics.
they're political.
And I'm not going
if-
to argue with that. I'm just saying it's like everything
arguably-
else. There's too much out there when we go straight to online.
No, it's true. That's what I'm saying. Like, and arguably, you could say the best selling pickup is the best.
Yeah,
like
there's
pickup,
different things you could use.
which doesn't have to be true either.
This
'Cause
is
I'm-
how you solve that. What's the number one rated Ford pickup in
Yeah.
America?
I won't argue that.
Okay.
But I'm just saying, like, if you go to the definition of a word, if we go to Google's definition, which is going to use what Google has versus an actual Urban Dictionary, or because an Urban Dictionary takes what's modern day slang of a word.
So, because I know a guy. He's a staunch Chevy guy, but his work trucks are Fords.
Because
He doesn't like the Fords, but he'll use them. So you can't even go by the best selling truck.
Well,
it's the
I don't
best
think
light
if you
truck.
did that, yeah, there's too many options if you just Google it and say the best truck.
That's what I'm saying.
Because you got best selling, best performing.
Yeah,
There's a million different things.
yeah. Because
I'm just
I would
saying,
never
like
drive a
online.
Toyota, but Toyota is one of the
Yeah.
longest lasting trucks.
I think we need to go buy us a thesaurus so we can learn words.
Diosaurus, what?
Thesaurus, so we can learn words because words are hard.
Okay. So
What's a thesaurus?
See how many times we get that in here.
I thought it was a dinosaur.
okay.
No.
So but
It's to learn.
but I
words.
will read you out the definition. It says, willing to respect or accept behavioral or opinions that are different from one's own and is open to new ideas. Then, if you go a noun, it says a supporter of a political and social philosophy that promotes individual rights, civil liberties, democracy, and free enterprise.
That's not
Liberals
today's liberal.
have nothing to do with free enterprise.
with any part of that.
Oh well, yeah, you're about 90% right there. They really don't.
More
So,
like
I'm
99.
not-
But that exactly kind of shows what I'm saying.
But-
The Google has too much politics in it. It's gonna be changed over to where it sounds good.
No, true.
Yeah.
Because
But also, it's like the what's old gay. No, if
Yeah.
you two even watched an old Flintstones episode, in the song they say "have a gay old time,"
Yeah.
and it means a happy time.
right.
But
Well, the one's been
That-
hijacked by the liberals.
Yes.
yeah, it's
I'm with
like
you on this. Blame the liberals.
So
that-
they're
what-
happy
what-
wannabes. huh?
What's old
Oh,
began
wanna be good.
good.
Yeah, no, I agree.
But now
that's
it's
what I'm
been
saying.
Wanna be happy? Okay.
twisted
let's
and
go, Brandon.
turned into things
What?
that are just not it
missed
anymore.
that.
Well, but even like I used to listen to Rush, and he talked about that in his younger days, that the two parties, the Democrats and the Republicans, both their drive was to make the life of the people better. They just had different ideas of getting there. The Democrat Party was by implementing safeguards, where if you can't work, you get unemployment, that kind of stuff. The Republicans was get out of the way so you can make the money yourself. But both had the common goal. They just had different ways of applying it.
The thing is, like, if you
I have
look at
never
today-
seen that.
No,
Which I haven't been
because
through
it
that. I've
doesn't
been
happen
16
within
years.
our lives. But let's say, so we're all here. I think more or less we're all on the same page as far as conservative, liberal, where we stand in it.
I wouldn't even say I'm Republican.
No, I'm not either. I honestly don't know that I would even consider myself conservative, but I lean more towards
would
that than I
be
would anything
conservative.
else.
Let me see what conservative says.
Well, while you do that, how much? So if we're so anti-liberal, are we really even that much pro-conservative?
No.
I think the Conservative Party has just as many flaws as the Liberal Party does.
Holding a traditional conservative means holding traditional attitudes and values and cautious about change or innovation, typically in relation to politics or religion.
Man, it sounds like they're saying that they're refusing to change with modern times. It's basically they're saying they're a bunch of old men. Tell me that doesn't sound like politics plays in with that.
I
that
fall
right
into
there.
that category.
Yeah, but tell me that's not politics going in there for that definition. Basically, that's basically bad mouthing the word conservative. Not willing to change or whatever. No, that's
who is
bull
averse
crap.
to change and holds to traditional value. Well, it would. If you think about the word conservative, it's conserve, stay. You want to stay with what you have.
Well, you want to stay with what's good. It doesn't necessarily mean you want to stay with what you have.
True, you can say what's good, but I know myself.
Because I think like morals and traditions, to an extent, need to be like kept. We
Conserved.
need to keep them.
Yeah.
Right.
That's even like I am by no means pro Mennonite. I'm not. It's just not me. I don't think that those traditions need to be blown out because there's people who want to remember that culture.
Well,
and the thing is,
absolutely.
it's good to
No.
honor that stuff.
And I agree, and
And-
I will support it. I'm just not. I don't want to do it.
Exactly. That's how I am. So I think this is the same way. There's morals and traditions in this
Which-
country that the liberals have destroyed and are still trying to destroy even more.
And one of them is marriage.
Well, yeah, that is one. That's actually a really good point. But just overall, even Christianity,
Yeah.
they're trying to make it something it's not.
Well, but it would think to a point you could say the Christians have brought that on themselves.
Oh, 100%. I won't argue
Of
that.
course.
We've done
Yeah.
a very piss poor job of loving on people.
Not only that, we've done a very piss poor job of standing up for our own beliefs.
Yeah.
We sit there and take
or,
like a
or
bunch of
living out what the
cowards.
Bible actually says.
So don't you like resemble? It was a big word when I was young, but you hardly ever hear it now. And I heard it everywhere. And shoot, dang, there was a word sword that means, don't bother them, let's let them be them, and like all of the stuff. And as I've grown up, I thought about that word sword, and I'm like, that what isn't good. No,
know.
in the time span, because that allowed a lot of evil. And shoot, what's that word?
Well, there's I think this is what I've seen a lot among the church I grew up in was they're very easy to tell somebody else what to do or correct somebody in a very serious way without a relationship, and I think that's the key. Because a friend of mine was talking about today, like how easy a lot of us are to condemn somebody that's on drugs. And he said, if you would bother to stop and look at him, you can see in this guy's eyes that he does not want to live. He is miserable.
Mhm.
If you give him money or you give him drugs and sit there and talk to him, you can actually get through to him.
Well, not only that, if you look at most of the time now when you deal with situations like that, how many of us are so quick to judge somebody, but we're not quick. We don't take the time to look back that not that long ago, a lot of us were in that same boat.
Amen. Not that when this is when our church broke apart. This is what I found, or I still believe that the reason why everybody. So what happened is the pastor's wife was accused of an adulterous affair. I don't think there was one. She was accused of it. Whether it's true or not, at the end of the day, does not
between them.
Yeah, exactly. Does not concern me or any part of the church. They destroyed that woman. Why? Because we're trying to make ourselves feel better, but our own shortcomings.
Well, yeah, because you sit there and think like, I do a lot of things, but at least I never cheated,
Yeah,
and then
that makes me better
that's
than you.
justifying. Yeah, that's not the right way to go about it.
it is
either.
not. That is the natural tendency of people, and fallen man, if you want to call it that. And it's like exactly what my buddy today talked about. Like if you bother to either help the guy out, you can talk to him and he'll listen.
Mhm.
But usually we don't even have to talk to him. We look at him with condescending look that they don't care for what you have to say.
No.
Because you look at him, I'm better than you anyway. Why
Why
would they
I
want to
waste my
listen?
time?
Yeah.
I think
There's no caring.
no, I think you're right there. I think as Christians we've lost a lot of that, and that's the basis for all of it.
But see, and then there's you could also like you can live that because that's what the Bible says you should. But I don't think even that is the goal. The goal should be
That you want to.
find a relationship where that comes natural.
Yeah.
And I don't
Where
know what
that's
that
your
looks like.
desire.
I'm pursuing that, but I don't know what that looks like.
I see that. I do know that. I did that know before already. We've like kind of what I was telling you about yesterday. Some of my own shortcomings, some of the things I've been dealing with. About a year ago, I would not have hesitated, but now I would.
On?
That right there. When you see somebody that needs something, you go out of your way to talk to them, do something. I don't do that. I used to.
Yeah, you got a point there. Shit.
Yeah. But
For me, what you just said there brings back. I don't want to talk about that here because I'll lose my shit. But I gave a homeless man in Pennsylvania when we got the dino. I gave him $100 because all I had, and I felt like I was supposed to give him something. I don't have no 20, so I gave him 100. The guy, He ran back, and then he slowed down, and he stopped, and he looked at it, and he turned around, and he looked at it again, turned around again, and started crying. And like there's I didn't make the time. It's not like I didn't have the time. I just didn't make the time to stop there and talk to him. I don't even know what I would have said.
Yeah.
But it was a moment of caring. I can make another $100. It's not that big a deal. But what that did for him, I have no idea.
Yeah.
It would be nice to know. Maybe one day.
But at that moment, he was more important.
I felt in me very. There used to be a time where it was very clear. I felt very strongly when I was supposed to give somebody money, and it was very easy. And it's I don't know. Maybe I don't know if I grew out of that. I don't know if that's even a thing. You know what I mean? Like, have I just lost it?
I don't think we ever lose it. I think we just like in sin, you
Get callous to it.
calloused. Yeah, I think
I can
we've
see that.
ignored it too many times.
If you don't exercise that muscle, that
Atrophies.
Yeah, that
won't be-
that makes a lot of sense.
I think that's a big part. I think when they say the heart's the largest muscle in your body. I wonder if that thing shrinks too, because every now and then you just don't really give a crap.
That's some hard words, but it's true, isn't it?
Yeah. I
I
used to
don't,
know.
I don't know if it shrinks, but it hardens.
It hardens.
Yeah, maybe that's what it is.
Callous.
It don't flex like it used to.
Yeah.
There was a time I remember where we, like, as a group and things that were done, it was done with a different kind of love than it is now.
Why did it change?
I think we've talked about this on like 3 or 4 different episodes.
know.
And I don't think anybody's ever come up with an answer. Kind of goes, for me, I think some of it is studying. We talked about it the other day. You said like you don't read as much. I don't as much as I
never
should.
have.
But like what you said earlier about the David thing, it takes a slight wrong thought in that, like just one even just an error in a parable, a story, anything, you can really screw that thing up.
Yeah.
I
go
think
around
the
the donkey.
importance
Oh,
of
yeah.
knowing it is there. You know, oftentimes we don't study it like we should, and we don't take the time. But there's a lot of importance to it. I don't think we should ever, and it's probably be something that we'll probably get hate mail for, saying, "Oh, you think the Bible's not important?" But I don't think we should fully base our entire religious view on 100% just the Bible, because it is, at the end of the day, it is inspired by God. I will never argue that, and it is the most important book known to man. But it doesn't change the fact that man has translated it a lot of times, and there is gonna be errors
Things
in what we
lost.
have today.
There's errors and things lost. Which, but so I
I think this is one of those for anybody who wants to give hate mail. You go ahead. I don't give a crap, but I'm gonna stand by that. If
I have
the
a
minute
story
we
on
do that, the minute we focus 100% on that, we idolize the Bible, and we make the Bible our God, and we take away from God, the worship that's supposed to be for Him.
and we don't find relationship.
And He's made it very clear anything that's an idol is bad. So
Yeah.
Well, I have a story on that, like Joshua, and it finally came to fruition. Like Joshua, we've talked about it before. I had a very hard time with Joshua, always playing video games, and I see friends, kids that are his age, and they're starting to look like productive members of society.
yeah,
And Joshua didn't, and I literally felt like the Spirit saying, "I got him," and then I let it go for a little bit, a few weeks, and then I'd be back to it, because I was thinking, like, the Bible says, "Spare the rod, spoil the kid." That's what it says, and that's
you sure?
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah, it does. I just want to.
You have me doubting now.
I just want to make sure you read it.
I see what you're doing. But
Somebody said so, huh?
yeah, I heard it somewhere. So, and then I did it for a second, and then I felt it again, and then I let it go. And I felt it for a third time, and I finally decided I am going to resist the urge of turning this around. I am going to be going to pot committed. I'm going to let the kid play. And at that time, we basically set some rules. You're going to eat 2 meals a day. You're going to keep your spot clean up there. And other than that, you can play as long as you want. You can get up as late as you want, as long as you get 2 meals a day. That was the deal. But then, like, now, okay, but I'm not happy about it. And when I look at him, it was always with this look of contempt. The hardest thing was when I went in there to tell Josh, "Hey, good night." Do it in a loving way, like you love your kid, even though you kind of feel like he's a screw up. That was the hardest. It really was.
I believe you.
But now it's all come to fruition. I mean, when Marcy started taking the kids to school, Josh was like, "Can I go to school?" Marcy said, "Yeah, if you choose to, but this will be your doing." Yeah. And then Marcy said, "Well, you missed a year and a half. You probably, because he was ninth grade when he quit. You probably have to go back to ninth grade." And he said, "If I can play football, I will." So we asked, "Yeah, he can play football." And a few days after, Marcy asked
they
me,
start him in.
ninth.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he had to go back to ninth. We were trying because he had some credits from ninth and from 10th, but he didn't finish either one.
Gosh.
He had homeschooling credits. But I made it clear to him, me nor your mom are going to push you. You are going to do this homeschooling yourself. And he would start well and then give up. So a week or two in, I picked him up and asked him, "So how's school?" "It's pretty good." I'm like, "Really?" "Yeah, I kind of like it." Josh was very honest, straightforward. And I said, "What do you like about it?" "I don't know." I said, "Like, do you like math?" "No, I kind of like geography." I said, "You like geography?" I hated geography. I like math. So yeah, and he mentioned a few things he liked in geography. And I asked him, "Do you regret not finishing those year and a half, or not going to school a year and a half, and you had to go back to ninth?" "No, I'm okay with it." Like, it really didn't mind. And then from there, I went into, I don't know, some days, I guess maybe spirit takes over, and there was just wisdom pouring out. And I was telling him about the 2-3 months that I went through hardship and mental breakdown, all this. And I said, through that, I have had some great things happen, like supernatural things have changed. And he's just sitting there and almost looking like he's not paying attention. And I finally asked him, "Do you want me to just be quiet?" No, Dad, you keep going. I want to listen. And it wasn't me at his age. I would have told that, whatever. Like, I don't want to listen to this, but I'm not going to tell you, yeah, you need to shut up.
Huh?
Yeah. What'd you say? But I said, "Dad, I want to listen." And he is so receptive when you give him the time of day and respect him for the 16-year-old man that he is. And now, the other day, Sunday evening, I was playing God of War. He asked me, and this is another one of those things we talked about. I think Joshua out of nowhere, he never asked me to play video games. I've tried to play some first-person shooter games with him a few times. It never worked out. I suck at them. And as you can remember,
I was about to say, I remember.
and he out of nowhere asked me, "Dad, you want to play God of War?" I said, "Man, I'm not good at it." He said, "You're going to like this one. You're going to be good at it." He said. It's like, "How do you know?" It's easy. You're going to be good at it. And
That game is not.
I never
That
followed with it.
easy.
It's not too
it is
hard.
pretty easy.
I thought it was.
That was easy for me, which I played it on as easy as possible.
Oh,
That
that's
explains it.
cheating. You
No.
never play a
No.
game easier than regular.
No.
Oh no.
Never.
There's also more
played it
storyline
on
than
the
easiest.
Oh, yeah, I went through all of them.
straight in.
First in regular, and then I go back and conquer.
Oh no. I was happy. But anyway, so Sunday we're playing, and he's sitting there watching me.
Yeah.
He fell asleep a few times, but he's sitting there watching me and giving me some pointers. And a few times, like, I can't beat a boss. And like, "Josh, no, you can do it." Like, "No, I can't." "No, Dad, you can do it. You can't. It's not that hard." "Shit." And then I go again. Like,
awesome.
he's giving me lessons. And then at midnight's my curfew. I set myself personal curfew. And I said, "Josh, look, it's 12:15. I got to go to sleep. I got to work tomorrow." "Okay." And I was like, "You got to go to school." And I just played a little bit more, trying to get to like a boss or something. We're going to finish on a good note, whatever. I'm like, "No, we both got it. You got school. I got church." I was like, "I got to have school." "Well, I actually don't have to go to work." "Okay." And I went after it. 3:00, Josh abandons me. I keep going. 6:00, finally finished it. But I didn't have to work Monday morning. And I told Marcy, I said, "Joshua quit on me." And Marcy said, "No, he didn't quit on you. I told him that if you want to be ready and you get used to getting up at 7:00 to go to school, you cannot go to sleep in the middle of the night during weekends because it'll be difficult for you." He made that decision to go in early. That's what I'm saying. Like, the kid has 180.
Maturing.
Yes.
Yeah.
At a rapid pace.
He's gonna be older than you soon.
Not just that. I asked him, he's getting contacts because he can't see well enough to play football. So he had to get contacts. And I said, "After you get your contacts, you want to start driving?" He said, "Yeah." Which his brother sideswiped the car. And I said, "So what, do you want to drive, a bike or a car?" "I want to drive a car." I said, "So you can sideswipe people like your brother does?" And he just kind of laughed it off, like the joke that it was. But so I told him, "What do you want me to? What do you want to drive? I want that old Ford that's back there. That's 76." And then I told him, "Look, all right." He said it before, and I said, "Okay, we'll take the engine out. It needs some work. Take the engine out. We'll rebuild it and get it ready for you." I said, "Dad, if I'm going to drive, can I work on it? I might as well work on it if I'm going to drive. Know what's under the hood." Like he's your what would he be? Generation Alpha?
I'm not sure if he'd be Z or Alpha. I'm not.
He's
I don't
somewhere
know
in
where
there,
they draw it.
and he's more redneck than most of us millennials are.
That's some big words. I'm not sure.
Pretty close.
He,
He's 16 years old. He wants to drive an old Ford instead of a nice truck.
he's more maybe redneck than most millennials are.
Okay, we'll leave it at
Yeah,
that.
we'll leave it at that.
Yeah. But
This is I have some very high standards for the rednecks in this shop. So
Redneck standards.
yes, I set the bar high.
yeah. So going back to what you said, that the world is not the only thing that we see need, and that this is kind of a spoiler for my teaching coming up in a week or so. So I started out, and I always assume, that people don't know anything about the Spirit of God. And so I say the Spirit is important for what? And it's important for which system? Love, knowledge, hope, gifts, strength, power, discernment, and conviction. And Christ says this when he leaves his disciples. And he says, nevertheless, I tell you the truth. It is to your advantage that I go away, for if I do not go away, the Helper will not come to you. But if I depart, I will send him to you. And when he has come, he will convict the world of sin and of righteousness and of judgment. And then I finish out this. And it's in 1 Corinthians 2. And it says, "And I, brethren, when I came to you, I did not come with excellence of speech or of wisdom, declaring to you the testimony of God. For I determined not to know anything among you except Jesus Christ and him crucified. I was with you in weakness and fear and in much trembling, and my speech and my preaching were not with persuasive words of human wisdom, but with the demonstration of the Spirit and of power, that your faith should not be in wisdom of men, but in the power of God." And then it goes on to say that, but basically that eye has not seen, nor ear heard, nor have entered into the heart of man the things which God has prepared for those who love him. And it says that man is literally not capable of understanding. And the only way that you can possibly understand is only through the Spirit.
Well, we've talked about this before, but I think we've a few times kind of walked into, and this was what you were saying. Why has the church lost so much strength in the world per se, in the people around us? And it's just what it says there in 1 Corinthians 2:3-5. I also was with you in weakness and in fear and in great trembling, which we don't really do with the people around us, unless they're church people. Mm-hmm. And in my message and in my preaching We're not in persuasive words of wisdom, but in the demonstration of the Spirit and the power. We see that. Like if you look at Sean Foyt, he has this message in the back of the church has left the building. It is very popular with people. There's people bring their drugs up to the platform and they get set free. It's by strength and power, and I think we've kind of lost that too.
You know what? So going into the power, I think subconsciously, losing the power, we've asked why we lost it, how we lost it. Subconsciously, I think we quit caring. We didn't want it no more. Whether we see it or not, I think that's a big part of it, because when we searched, it was there, and then we quit searching. And subconsciously,
we search with love for people.
Yeah.
That's what you're trying to say.
Well, I think they go hand in hand.
We're right, but I don't think you can have one without the other.
No, probably not. I think as you care for, once you truly care for others, and you see that, it brings up something different in you. But what I was referring to is the power. We got busy with everyday life, and we quit searching. We quit caring.
That is true. That is the basic story of the sower and the seed.
Because
It's exactly that.
I think that's just where we were. Like, we've been so busy with everything we've got going on, like now with 516 Trucking and with the shop, with DS, with your other one. And
the thing is, this is the kingdom. There's got to be a way to integrate the two.
I think there is, but that's priorities, discipline.
Why don't we start to look
When a bunch
for,
of undisciplined kids can't get their crap in a row, then
Yeah.
we all start to suffer,
and
and that kind of falls on us. But
that's
you know-
probably why we haven't had these podcasts. And
yeah, it is. It's discipline. That's why I asked you earlier: do we just want to skip, or do we want to power through? And I'm glad you said power through, because we need to.
yeah,
But if we're going to end it, I think we're about at our time
we're
anyway.
at an hour.
But one thing I want to bring up kind of before speaking on misinterpretation, translations, and stuff being wrong. The example that came to mind: Jesus dying in the garden. You know what I'm talking about? When he was in the garden, when he was sweating blood.
Mm-hmm.
Depending on the translation you read, if you read the King James or whatever, it's basically he was sweating blood, but it doesn't really ever refer to him as dying. It's kind of more metaphorical in a lot of things. The Passion doesn't. The Passion said he was dying, and he prayed that he wouldn't die so that he could fulfill what he was supposed to do.
Damn man.
So who's right?
I think the Passion is right, because
Thing is, I fought that for the longest time. Like, I was 100% against that, thinking that is bullcrap.
the reason why I
But
believe that is
I don't know.
because according to doctors, it's not possible for a person to sweat
We're also
blood
talking about a
and
man who
survive.
was fully God.
Right, that's what I'm saying. But his body.
He was fully man, but he was fully God. So the thing is,
the
that's
thing
why
but
we
his
can.
body was his body, and,
Yeah.
and physically it could not withstand it without supernatural help.
The thing is, he was
But
full of
also
supernatural help.
He was
Right, and we have it too.
He was not dying as God, right?
Right.
He was dying as a man.
Yes.
He was dying as a man.
But
that's a
that's
very
that's
good
one of
point.
those things that gets me. If that's the case, then he still had the ability to say, "My diet day is not till tomorrow. I don't have to do this." And the thing is, going to asking. This ties even into what the whole topic
he
was about
didn't-
asking. Was he asked God to do not until
If,
tomorrow?
if there's another way, then
Yeah, if there's
take it.
yeah. But he said, he asked. He did not tell him.
Yes.
So
Yeah.
I think
And he was
even
the
that
son,
saying
the
that
only
just the
son.
heart, our heart set is asking. I think to a point that's right, but I think it's also a matter of respect to actually go out and ask.
That's
and-
actually a very good point. A
So-
matter of respect.
Because if he's your dad, like
But it boils down to where's your heart?
it does,
Right.
but it
isn't
doesn't
that
change
the
the
respect?
fact.
You
Yeah,
show him respect with the
exactly.
matter of your heart.
Exactly.
So
They-
I
they
think
go
there's
hand in hand,
yeah.
right?
If
Oh, it
there's
does, and I
anything
think that's
take out of
why
it, it's the respect.
that's a big part. But I think that's why some of them, like Mikey said, some of them are unforeseen. You didn't expect them.
That's the one he's looking for, actually.
Yeah, but a lot of them are things that you've wanted. So you get both. And I think there's some that they require you to go out of your way and ask. And there's some things that he sees in your life. Hey, this is something he really works
This
for.
would really
he really
compliment
wants.
him.
Yeah. I think it goes both ways. It's like any dad.
see
Like
that.
when your kids want something and you see it, you want to give it to them.
Right.
But every now and then
But there's
they
also
want
things
something and you know it, but you kind of want them to say, "Hey, can I have that?"
But there's also the things that they ask for, and you know that you don't always. This is where we as fathers and God the Father differ. we can't always see whether it's one of those that
That's actually
the
gonna
kid
help.
wants it right now,
Oh.
but tomorrow we'll have forgotten about it.
Is it a true desire?
Yes,
He will.
So as
He
I have
sees
the
it.
heart, he does see the difference. We do
Yeah.
not. But you learn that as your kids grow older. You see which ones.
But would that not also apply then to him, knowing that even if you ask for it, sometimes you don't get it
Right,
because it's not a true desire of your heart.
because
It's a want for
it's
now.
an influence from
Yeah.
something. Because, like I said, the one the power stroke was an influence from something. It wasn't a heart's desire; it was an influence,
yeah.
and I never got it. Well, I did later, but
I was gonna say you owned a 6.0. What are you talking about?
that was a royal piece of crap.
It's still a power stroke.
It was a very nice. It was a very nice engine, but it was a royal
Yeah.
piece.
Yeah.
It was nothing to look
I figured that'd be a good ending, kind of to think on is that whole translation thing to really bring that out in the open.
at. I like the.
There's a lot there to actually take the time and read through them. They differ a lot. I was always told like the NIV and stuff. Oh, they took some verses out of there.
Mhm.
That's the problem. Take the time to read it. It's there may be a couple of
the
verses that are
context is
changed.
there.
I don't think
I've done
picking
it.
one over the other is going to make or break your salvation.
Well, not just that. You shouldn't pick one over the other. You should read
They're all
a
good
few
study
of
tools,
them and use them for studying. I think that's the best way to do it.
No.
Yeah.
But I actually, when I was in Canada, I always that back then it was when I first started, like kind of hardcore going after. I want to make a better life, have a better life, Christian life, and that was one of the big deals in the church, the NIV. But the NIV is the one I read. So Marcy
It's
bought
one of
me
the ones I like the least.
back then. I don't read it anymore, but back then that's what I read because I couldn't understand the King James.
Yeah.
and NIV.
I think I still
understand.
have an NIV. I don't think there's anything wrong with it. It's
It's
just
not.
it's not one of mine of choice.
Because I looked through the verses that are supposed to be not in there.
No.
Most of them, the context is there. Just verse numbers might not be.
I don't think people realize that when you take something where there's a lot of thee and thous in there,
Mm-hmm.
and the big words that are in there don't need to be there to bring a point, bring the message importance. The what is it? The main point of every single verse.
Well,
You can shorten it up, and I think them taking some of the verses out, it affected people that were really religious and traditional in that sense.
Absolutely.
Because I
And
will
have
honestly
an excuse
say
to attack you over
Yeah.
it. That you
I-
want something better.
I don't read the King James.
I don't either.
I have the New King James and an Amplified Classic Parallel. I love it. That's my go-to. My Bible of choice on my phone, NASB.
Me too. And I have side by side in my phone NASB with Passion.
Yeah, because the NASB to me seems accurate
Those are
as far
actually-
as wording. It's very well done.
Those are the two that I carry with me in my backpack too.
And I also think that this is also why it's so important to lean on the Spirit too, because it's like from what you two guys said, the difference in translation. I know from the experiences in my life that I've seen, because I worked in the medical field for 9 years, and and that that praying that you will live to see God's will done. It's like I've seen people that I thought were gonna die. I'm like, there ain't no way. And then they're fine, and then it's like others, they just die, and you're like, how in the heck did they just died?
I think someone has a desire to live on the part of the people. But I think we made it long enough, and I think we're going to change the format a little bit. I think we're going to close with a prayer.
You're offering to lead.
I am offering to lead.
I thought you were gonna put somebody on the spot.
Nope.
Like Aaron.
Aaron, you want to close us in prayer? I'm kidding. I'll do it. Pop, I want to thank you for the people you've put in our lives, and I ask that you would give us the wisdom and just lead us into that we could see your desires and show us how we can set ourselves up for where we can follow that and see them, and there from that be inspired to follow better throughout this week and further. But let's start with the week. Amen.
Amen.